Artificial intelligence demystified.
So picture this. You're in a vendor demo. They're showing off this AI-powered feature. It looks great. The execs love it. And someone asks, how does it actually connect to our systems? And the vendor says, oh, it's just an API call. And everyone in the room nods, including you. Even though you're not totally sure what that means in this context, you just nod.
I've been in that room.
Everyone has been in that room.
And here's the thing. You were probably closer to understanding it than you thought. Today, we're fixing that. The term is API, and by the end of this, you'll never have to nod blindly again.
Let's go.
Before we get to APIs, we need one quick idea: inference.
Okay.
Inference is simply the moment an AI model actually does its job. You send it something: a question, a document, a prompt, and it produces an answer in real time. That's inference. The model is running, thinking, responding.
So inference is just the AI doing the thing?
Exactly. It's not training, it's not setup. It's the live moment of use. Think of it like a chef in the middle of service. The training was culinary school. Inference is cooking the actual meal right now for a real customer.
Got it. So inference is the active part.
Right, and here's why it matters for today. The AI model doing that inference almost never lives inside your product. It's somewhere else entirely. And the API is the channel that lets your product send something to the AI for inference and get the result back. Hold on to that. Because an API is what happens when your product needs to reach across and tap into that capability. So, an API. Application Programming Interface, though nobody says that, is a standardized connection point that lets two separate systems talk to each other and exchange information. Neither system needs to know how the other one works internally. They just need to agree on the format of the conversation.
Okay, that sounds almost too simple.
It is simple. The complexity hides in what happens when things go wrong. But let's start with the analogy, because I think this one really lands.
Hit me.
Think of a restaurant, your product, your app, your platform. Is the customer sitting at the table? The AI model is the kitchen. All the real work happens in the kitchen, but you never go in there. You don't know what equipment the chef uses. You don't know how they trained. You don't care. You just tell the waiter what you want. The waiter carries that to the kitchen produces the meal, and the waiter brings it back. The API is the waiter, a defined, reliable process for sending requests and receiving results, with no direct contact between the two sides.
So the waiter has a specific way you have to order. You can't just shout into the kitchen.
Exactly. You order in a specific format, you get a result in a specific format. That's the contract the API enforces.
And look, where does that analogy stop working?
Good question. A waiter can improvise. A waiter can say, we're out of that. Want something similar? An API cannot do that. It only accepts requests in exactly the format it expects. No charm, no interpretation, no flexibility. If your request is malformed, you get an error back, not a helpful shrug.
Right. Okay, so here's the question I'm almost embarrassed to ask.
That's what we're here for.
If the AI is just sitting on the other end of an API, does that mean the vendor can change it or just turn it off whenever they want?
Yes, and that is a real risk that doesn't get talked about nearly enough. If a vendor updates their model, deprecates an API version, or simply goes down, your product breaks, or it starts behaving differently without you knowing why. This is exactly why API versioning matters, why contractual SLAs matter, and why any serious production deployment needs a fallback plan. You are building on someone else's infrastructure. That's powerful. And it's also a dependency you need to manage.
Huh. I genuinely did not think about that. I assumed simple API integration meant it was kind of stable by default.
Most people do. That's the assumption vendors love.
Okay, let me try this. An API is a connection between your product and the AI, like a bridge. So your product can use the AI without having to, I don't know, contain the AI?
That's the right instinct. Here's how I'd sharpen it.
Please.
An API is the standardized connection that lets your product send a request to an AI model and get a result back, without your product needing to know anything about how the AI works under the hood. If the AI is the kitchen, the API is the waiter.
I'm writing that down. That's the one.
It's 2 sentences. It works at a board meeting and it works at a bar.
Both important venues.
Here's the scenario. A vendor is pitching an AI-powered feature they want to embed in your enterprise platform. They say the integration is simple. Just an API call, and it might be, but simple integration can hide a lot of fragility. Versioning issues, uptime risks, data residency questions, cost per call that looks fine at 50 users and becomes a problem at 5,000.
So if someone pitches this to me, what's the one question I ask?
What happens when you release a new model version? Do our existing API calls break? And how much notice do we get?
Oh, that's uncomfortable.
For a bad vendor, yes. A good vendor has a versioning policy, a deprecation timeline, and they'll tell you clearly. A bad vendor will go quiet or say, "We'll cross that bridge when we come to it." That answer tells you everything about how production ready they actually are.
Next time someone says it's just an API call, I'll know exactly what question to ask before I nod.
Next episode, we're getting into how AI actually understands the meaning of words, not just the words themselves. And it involves something called embeddings that will make you question everything you thought you knew about search.
See you then.